This is the Journey Podcast. We highlight the journeys of our guests, where they've been, where they are now, and where they are going. Let's join them on their journey. Welcome to the Journey Podcast. Today we are just have a great opportunity to sit down with a local business owner here in Alliance, Bart Stuchell, who has just pioneered some very interesting technologies. So I'm really excited to have him on the Journey Podcast today. Thanks for joining us today, Bart. I know you're busy, and it's been challenging to get you here with all of the things going on. So we appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us on the Journey Podcast.
Well, it's a delight to be here, Nate.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here, Bart. So tell us about your business or businesses. You've got a couple of things going on, some really neat things here, and love to learn about that and tell our audience about what you do.
Sure, glad to. February 14, 2005, my wife and I bought a plastic injection molding operation called Sare Plastics. And they make plastic parts. It was 99% automotive when we got started. I think we started off right around 16, 18 employees. We're now up over 40. We work more than that, of course, with the economy and all. In 2007, I was the inventor of a product we call StoneDeks systems now. And StoneDeks systems, we're transforming wood decks to StoneDeks all across America. Actually licensed it to Australia and New Zealand as well.
Wow.
And so we're excited about that development. It's growing every year. It's truly a product that's needed in the marketplace. And I say transforming wood decks to StoneDeks, instead of putting wood boards or composites on your deck, you now can put any kind of stone on a deck. So you can put porcelain, you can put concrete pavers, you can put actually what they call gauged or ungauged stone. So there's lots of details. If you go to the website StoneDeks.com, that's D-E-K-S, StoneDeks.com. The other one will come up in the search too, with StoneDeks on it. But that's the two companies, the plastic injection molding and then StoneDeks.
So these two systems are kind of connected to each other in a way. How does that work?
Good question. Sare Plastics actually is the manufacturer for the StoneDeks products. It's actually several products now. But the original product is a 16-inch by 18-inch, a honeycomb grate. Again, if you go to the website, you'll see all the pictures. It just looks like a honeycomb grate. You literally screw it right down to the floor joist of your deck. That creates a subfloor. And now on that subfloor is where you put all the stone you want to put on.
Okay, so it has a plastic base to it, which is the plastic piece of it.
That's the plastic piece of it.
So that's fascinating. So is that something that brings the cost way down, or is that something that makes it last longer? What's the win in the product?
Well, two things. It lasts longer, but the value proposition to the homeowner. Most homeowners are tired of staining and painting their deck. Everybody's busy working, so now when you put stone on the deck, you high pressure wash it once a year or garden hose it off, there's no staining and painting, there's stone.
Okay.
They make travertine stone that goes on it nice. That's like a limestone based stone. So it's really the customer's decision what kind of stone goes on a deck, because you can put anything on a deck now.
So the maintenance level.
Time is important to everybody.
Absolutely, yeah, and being just able to maintain it that one time a year, pressure wash is a big win. So tell us a little bit more about Sare Plastics. You're manufacturing the StoneDeks system. Are you manufacturing other things, or is that your primary product?
Yes, Sare Plastics made over 5 million parts last year in lieu of the whole COVID experiences we are having. But we actually still do some automotive at Sare Plastics. We do a lot of office supplies for a company. We do housewares. And then we also do like your central vacs in your houses. We do a lot of parts for that as well. And then we actually make a part for a company out of Australia as well. So we make lots of injection molded parts.
Wow. So just kind of different kinds of runs, special projects. Do you have like things that you're running all the time, or is these special projects?
Well, based on purchase orders, and we're a custom molder, so we change molds every day. One neat thing we do is we make parts for the largest flag manufacturer in the United States, and we're kind of proud of that aspect of it. And it's kind of neat. We make little eagles. We make all your flag, the ball toppers on flag poles, and so it's it's kind of neat.
A real American company.
Yeah.
I'm sure I probably have some that came out of your plant then at home, because I know we've got a couple of those around. So.
Yeah, there's a lot of, so little eagles on top are pretty cool. We have them in our showcase to show people. It's just it's what America's about. You know?
Absolutely. So you said you bought Sare Plastics in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get there? Like, tell us about your early career a little bit.
Yeah, I'll back up a little bit there. And actually grew up with a single mom on welfare. As I always tell them, there's no silver spoon in this boy's mouth. And at the end of the day, I got out of high school and started working at Babcock Wilcox Research. What a wonderful experience that was, working with all of the engineers, at all levels of engineers, and learned that I went to college at night for 12 years of college at night, and then I met my wife there as well, and we got married in 1982. From there, I went into machine trades for about 15 years. I actually worked my way up into management there. I was supervising roughly 10 machinists before they shut that operation down. I left before it was completely shut down. After there, I started my own business building instruments for nuclear power plants. Me and a chemist built instruments and had patents on that. And we built them, we shipped them to Japan and England and the United States.
Wow.
And it was just a small little business, 2 or 3 person operation. And then I sold that partnership out of that, and then I moved down to PCC Airfoils, making turbine blades for jet engines. I worked inside sales, I worked production control, I worked in the wax room at that operation. From there, I went to Sare Plastics there, was that 2003, 2004. And I was looking to buy another business, and Paul Sare, Paul Sare hired me to get him what they call ISO certified. It's a standard, quality standard in the manufacturing world. And about 6 months I had him certified, and I was looking to buy another business, and I'm really open and transparent. And I shared with Paul, hey, I have a business opportunity. It's been a dream of mine ever since I can remember of owning my own business. And I shared that with Paul, and he says, hey, this place is for sale. And I said, well, you need to talk to your wife and see if we can pull it together. And of course, rest is history. And I would tell you, it's the toughest thing I've ever done in my life, is to try to keep business open and flowing. And then you get hit with the '08 economy. Now we're in the COVID issues. It's truly it's been a very, very big challenge for us. But I'm thankful that the good Lord has assisted us through the whole process, and where things are looking up.
Well, that's a great story. Could you maybe, and I didn't put this in the prep question,
Yeah,
so I'm always curious. Somebody says, I went and bought a company, and I think a lot of people's minds, and I've learned a lot through that, but you think you got to be a multimillionaire to go buy, you got to have all this cash. What does that look like for a person to buy a company, and typically of a size of what Sare Plastic was when you purchased it?
Yeah. Back up, just go back up. I've always been a saver. When I grew up in Alliance with my single mom, I used to go to Robin Library. And I always, for some reason, in my mind, in America, it's the greatest country in the world. You can go from zero to wherever you want to go. That's what America's about, is an opportunity. That's all America gives you, is an opportunity. It's what you do with the opportunity is how you get there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been my philosophy. If you want to work hard, there's results for working hard. If you don't want to work hard, there's results for that as well.
Exactly.
And that's how I think and how I look. So I actually done a lot of research on financial planning. And I kind of skipped over that. I used to be a real estate agent. I used to be a financial planner, and sell securities and stuff, and insurance as well. So I had a basic understanding of a lot of that world before I went to college and those type of things. So that being said, because I have basic understanding of finances, the Rule of 72, the magic of compounding interest, and when you learn some of those basics, you always apply those basics to where you're going. So therefore, when Paul said, hey, this business is for sale, I need to see what his numbers are to see what he's doing. And fortunately, I had enough money saved up that I was able to put a down payment on it, and he was gracious enough to carry some of the real estate loans. So because I've done the real estate background, I know, depending on the motivation of a seller, what they're willing to take to put a deal together.
Right.
And so that experience I was blessed with, to be able to understand that when you go to buy a business or a home or a building, it's not always cash. It depends on the motivation of a seller. Some sellers want to help the next person because somebody helped them to get started.
Right.
And I really encourage people out here in America today, knowing it's the greatest land of opportunity, don't think you got to have $1 zillion. Think about, hey, what's the motivation of the seller? How do we help them win, and how do you help you win? And that's how you make America go round.
Absolutely. That's good advice there. I appreciate that. So tell me, what's one thing in your business, maybe it could be previous to Sare and StoneDeks, but specifically there, what's one thing in this venture that you didn't expect to happen?
I have never expected, anything. We always are very, very thankful for the opportunity that we are given. We're out here to serve. As I always say, we get up each day and pick up our cross and go. You know what that really means, Nate? I make mistakes every day.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you look up at that cross, it's grace, and you're thankful for that, and we move forward from there. I fail every day. I just fall short of that cross so much, but at the end of the day, we look at grace and keep on going. And I know that sounds trite to some people, but at the end of the day, you just keep doing the best you know how to do.
So carry no expectations. Take what's given to you. So what's a common myth about plastic manufacturing? Is that the industry you would say you're in?
Yeah, the plastic injection molding industry.
What's the common myth about that?
It's easy. A lot of people look up a plastic part and say, oh, what's so hard about this?
You can make anything out of plastic, right?
Yeah, you can make anything out of plastic. Well, and that's one reason it attracted me, because I come from Babcock Wilcox Research and Development world, so I'm an R&D guy at heart. It's still in my blood. I love product development. But when you look at a plastic injection molding machine, you got heats, you got pressures, you got materials. In the world of R&D, you take all those combinations and you bring them together to make products and develop. An injection molding machine does that, on a very fast basis.
Right.
So that's kind of what's attracted me and what's has been intriguing in our world. We just shot parts 3 weeks ago. It's the largest, my understanding, it's the largest Triton polycarbonate part in the United States. It's an 8-pound shot. It's a clear tank, and it's pretty cool to be part of some of that stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I think what the rise of 3D printers in the last decade here, did that kind of make a challenge on the plastic industry? Because everybody's like, now they can get their 3D printer and do their own plastic molding.
3D printing is helping the injection molding, because one, 3D printing is lower volume. Injection molding really is best for higher volume. 10,000, 30,000, million parts a year. So 3D printing is great for your mom and pa, your custom, 10 offs, 500 offs. Okay, and plastic injection molders really look at the 500 pieces a year as a pain. They really don't want to mess with them. The amount of labor it takes into setting up a mold, making 500 parts, taking a mold back out is intensive, and it's low margin work by and large. Most molders like to set up and make you 1 million parts,
Yeah.
And so that's where so 3D printing is really done nothing more than help the creativity, and it helps engineers a lot, because when you design a part and you look it on a screen, and then versus have one in your hand, it's a whole different thought process on how you design and how you engineer versus having a sample part in your hand. And most people don't understand exactly, because I've designed my own self. It's a different world when you have a part and you go, I didn't see that, or I didn't think of that. Yeah. And it's really cool to have a 3D part in your hand, and it's low cost. Relatively, $200, $300, $400, you can get a 3D part printed out in hours and say, this is going to work, or this is going to be a problem. And you go to the next
and redo it, and that low cost of that makes a big difference. So what would you say is the biggest challenge you're facing in your business today?
It's labor. It's skilled labor is the number one challenge. And if you think back, I graduated in 1980, all the manufacturing was going abroad. So now we have 40 years experience, Nate, in the United States where there's not been as much manufacturing as when I was a kid. So we're going to have to retrain, and we're seeing it right now.
Yeah.
You talk to the different manufacturers and owners, we're retraining every day. It's really, really sad, the situation our manufacturing industry is in across America right now. But hopefully academics will get their hat turned around and start get some more vocational people back in schools and do what's really the backbone of America, and that's manufacturing.
So, we're sitting here, hopefully post-COVID. How did COVID affect your manufacturing company?
A fair amount. We run 3 shifts, 5 days a week as a rule, and because we were making some essential parts, we went down to 1 shift 5 days a week, and that's 2/3 you lose. And again, by the grace of God, we're able to get through all that, and we're starting to build back up now. Last year we had a real good sales year, and we're looking for this year to be another good year. But it's very unfortunate to see the way this whole COVID was managed.
Yeah, it's really challenging to work in that environment. And not only finding the employees, but all of the other restrictions that were placed on businesses to navigate that. So, what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned over your career?
For me, it's to stop thinking out loud. Being the owner of a company, when you're in a group of people or in a meeting and you say things, hey, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning that one, but my lesson is I got to stop thinking out loud. But because I come from R&D and I'm in that think tank environment, and that's just how I operate, it's been a challenge for me, but I'm catching myself more and more. Stop thinking out loud. Let's lay out a plan of how we're going to attack whatever we're discussing.
So have you set up a system of like an advisory group of people where you can think out loud without them taking action? Say, this is just my thoughts today. Don't take any action.
Well, yeah. So I have a group of individuals that I can sit down with and talk about things. And at one time, I actually had an official board when I first bought the business, just to have that guidance. And now it's more of an ad hoc type arrangement.
Okay. Yeah, that's maybe some good advice there to stop thinking out loud. Learned that myself. In your opinion, what do you think is the most important strength that somebody would need to be in the plastic injection molding, but maybe just even a business owner in general today?
There's a lot of traits it takes, fortitude, but I think perseverance would be probably the word that I'd tag on that one, Nate. The reality is there's nothing easy in this world. If it would be easy, everybody would be doing it.
Correct.
So the reality is just persevere. If you get challenged with something, you talk to your friends, family, and acquaintances, other mentors you may have in this world, and hey, what would you do if this was a situation for you? You open up your ears, you listen, you take your situation and how you think and how you want your culture and your business to be, and persevere through it.
Yeah. Kind of keep on keeping on.
Yep.
So if you were talking to somebody starting out in their career, maybe in manufacturing or plastic molding, what is one piece of advice you would give them?
You need to one piece of advice: you need to hire your weakness. You just need to hire your weakness, and you need to be, and then you can start mastering one piece at a time after that. But at the end of the day, we all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, Nate, and you need to hire your weakness, and then you can start mastering one piece at a time moving forward.
Yeah, that's huge. Just finding, because you can't be an expert at everything.
Yep,
it's so true. So you've done all this. Who's been your most important mentor in getting you where you're at today?
Yeah, and one thing I found out early in my business world is that a lot of other people, business owners and the likes, are willing to help. But at the end of the day, my number one mentor is the Lord Jesus Christ. Like I said, I grew up on the streets of Alliance, Ohio, and the Lord has kept His hand on me for years, and I'm thankful for that. As I always say, He's got 66 books on Him. If you read them books a little bit, you'll find out that He'll mentor you all the way through the journey, if you will.
Yeah, definitely helped you through your journey as well, and that's a great mentor. Tell me, what's one lesson you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
The one word that comes to my mind there is patience. And that's not a strong trait of Bart's either, I'll tell you. At the end of the day, patience, you'll find out if you learn to help understand the whole situation better. And that's some of the most powerful words you'll ever use when you're working with a group of people. Say, help me understand. And therefore that helps you have patience so you can understand what the situation is, and then you can learn to diffuse it, you can learn to manage it, you can learn to work with it by helping you understand. That helps you have more patience.
Good advice. Thanks, Bart, about that. So, what's one thing about your job, your expertise that almost no one agrees with you about?
I'm not sure I have an answer for that one. I couldn't think of anything that says I don't know of anything. I'm usually pretty willing and accommodating with most people's ideas because of an R&D background again. When you've worked in think tanks, you're always open to everybody's perspective. And so I don't know that I find anything that it's 100% opposite. I mean, we know people may not agree with my faith. We know a lot of that stuff, but at the end of the day, pretty accommodating on all perspectives.
Specifically when it comes to manufacturing plastics. It's
Sure.
pretty, yeah. So, okay, so tell me about this. So you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, so you're getting close to 20 years of owning your own company here. What's your favorite productivity hack? Like, how do you get everything done? Because I know it's about impossible to get anything done some days.
Yeah, it's a learned trait, and it's not necessarily the strongest trait of entrepreneurs, and that's to delegate. You got to learn. There's a company I was talking to last year sometime. They said you need to hire the best people that you can find to do the job you need done, and at the end of the day, that's not always easy. When you're starting out, cash is a challenge, but delegating is what you got to learn to do, and I think sometimes planning that delegation. If you plan how to delegate, you can learn how to transfer that task. So essentially, you're managing that to some degree, but at an arm's length. Delegate.
Maybe that patience factor comes into play too, because you can't delegate it all at once. Incrementally. Entrepreneurs will tell you that probably nobody can do most of the things they can do as good as they can do, because that's what they just go do it, right? Right.
So at the end of the day, it's learned to delegate and be satisfied with what you handed to somebody.
Yeah, that's good. So when would you say you get your best work done? I mean, you have 3 shifts there, so you're delegating 24 hours a day.
Well, what I would tell you, when I started, I worked all 3 of them. That's the real world. I have had lots and lots of hours back in the early days. That's how you learn, though. But today, I'm a morning person, so I'm an early bird. I get up, and I'm probably my productivity is between 6 and noon is where I'm at. For me personally.
And you know what's interesting? Most of the entrepreneurs we've had here I've known, we're all morning people. I haven't met anybody who says, no, I work late at night.
I sleep until 10 in the morning.
I haven't found anybody like that. That's quite fascinating, even the artistic ones that we work with.
Sure.
So that's pretty neat. So what would you say is the most underrated tool that you use for your job that you really couldn't do your job without today?
In today's world, there's only one answer in my mind. That's called a computer.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing all your design and R&D and things on computers these days. Yeah, I mean, it certainly makes a big difference to get that done. So if you could start a business tomorrow, and maybe you are, I don't know. As entrepreneurs, we never know.
No.
What business would that be?
It's a season of life, is much, so again, put that in perspective. You know, if I was age 20 to answer this, it'd probably be a whole different, with the knowledge that I have today. But today, probably more of a consulting or online selling or something. You know, it's something you can manage. You choose your hours. You choose, you know, how much or little you want to work. But that would be my answer at my season of life of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm. So if you were going to do another occupation, if you were 20 now, what other occupation would you like to try? Okay.
Well, as a young boy, I actually used to fill airplanes up out at Miller Airport years ago. It's up north Benton here, north of town. And I've always wanted to be an airplane pilot. So I would, if I had that to do over again, I'd probably pursue that a little bit more.
Okay, airplane pilot, that would be great. So, well, Bart, I really appreciate you being on the Journey podcast. It's always great to learn from the different guests that we have here. A couple of rapid fire questions here is, what are 3 books you would recommend to the audience and why?
Good to Great. And again, it's been a while since I've read these books here, but Good to Great is one, and that's talking about getting the right people on the bus, and to get the right people in the seats of the bus. And if you think about that a little bit and it's a big deal to understand that. And I've made all the mistakes of not getting the right people on the bus. So the reality is it's harder than it appears to be, is getting the right people. Trying to get the culture, getting the skill set all in the right bus. It's a big deal, and that's a really good book. And then Think and Grow Rich was a very, very early book right out of high school I read by Napoleon Hill, and that just teaches you what's really important, is how I would describe that book. It's not all about money, it's all about things more important than that. And then one of my all-time favorites is See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar, and it's I'm trying to think of one of his lines in there, but it's been a long time since I read that book too. But anyway, Be Good to Great, Think and Grow Rich, See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar. 7 Habits of Highly Effective Leaders by Stephen Covey.
Well, that's a good book.
Is probably one of my favorites. And that's one of the ones I said, seek first to understand, then to be understood. I mentioned earlier in the podcast here that it's really a powerful tool when you're working with people. Seek first to understand, then to be understood in the management world when you're working with people.
Yeah, those some good recommendations there. Thank you. Okay, so I'm starting a business today. What's one word of wisdom you would give me?
Well, I have people walk into my facility probably at least once a month on average, wanting to have a new product they want to invent when they starting out a business and things like that. And the number one thing I teach these individuals and people is you got to learn how to get cash to flow. Because some people want to start out with a product and have I'll use the word a Cadillac. They want the most premium product in the market. I says, no, let's back it down. Let's get it started. Get cash to flow. Then you can make decisions with the cash that you're making to build off of it. So my number one thing to anybody I talk to at starting business is learn how to focus on getting cash to flow and what that looks like.
Do you have a system that you like to use for that, or is that just basically that advice that you just gave there?
Yeah, I have an accountant that tells me how cash is flowing. It's called a cash flow statement. That you review what's going on, and then you as an entrepreneur or a manager understand how you make cash and how the timeline it turns. So with that cash flow statement, you see what you need to do to make cash to flow. And what happens is you learn to put your focus of time into those areas to get cash to flow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So I've asked you a lot of questions, Bart. I appreciate you being a part of this. But what's one question you wish I would have asked you today?
What keeps you motivated?
Well, what does keep you motivated?
At the end of the day, there's ups and downs. It doesn't matter if it's life or it's in business world. And at the end of the day, You just got to stay focused on the cross. You know, if you have a servant's heart and you understand who you're serving in this world, that's what keeps you motivated, from my perspective.
Wow, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So, Bart Stuchell with Sare Plastics and StoneDeks Systems. Tell us where we can find you online and learn more about these incredible products that you have.
Well, Nate, first I'd like to say thank you for having us. It's an opportunity, one, to sit down with you. I've known you for a couple of years now, and
thanks for coming in.
A little longer than that, actually. And it's a joy to see your progress and what you've been doing and growing, and how you're looking to serve as well. And that's a real joy in my heart to watch you grow. But you know, all the fun places, right? LinkedIn, Facebook. We have StoneDeks.com, we have SarePlastics.com, Sare is S-A-R-E, plastics is plural.com, Instagram, I think you can find StoneDeks about any place you want to look out there.
Lots of places to find the media and check out all the neat stuff. I went through the social media, checked it out. I was pretty impressed by what it looks like. Heard some great testimonials, and actually know some people that have some of the systems.
Cool.
That they're pretty neat how they work. So definitely worth checking out, especially maybe if you're looking to manufacture some plastic products, or maybe just get a new deck installed. So something worth checking out. So thanks for being on the Journey podcast today, Bart. We also want to thank our sponsor, Astoria, for making this possible for all of your cybersecurity needs. Go to trustastoria.com to learn more about how we can help protect your network like a